Hey everybody, this is Matt with Pocket Pennant Run, and I'm very excited to share some upgraded player cards. Craig initially created the player cards that are available in the third version software, and he did an amazing job with those cards, and they were so popular with folks, and so many people told us how much they liked having the individual player cards to play Pocket Pennant Run that we decided to fully make some that look really nice. We may or may not eventually release these as actual cards, cards that are on good cardstock that you can purchase. But for right now, we're going to make two teams available to you for free on our Facebook page for people to try out and give us some feedback. So let's go through how these work and some things are maybe a little different about how you play the game when you're using player cards. So what we got on top here is kind of our team card, which includes the name of the team. We're including 1975 Boston Red Sox and 1975 Cincinnati Reds, or rematch of the 75 World Series. And this is the team card. Shows the name of the team, the managers, and then also the ballpark that each team played at, their home ballpark. And it's followed by whether it's a hitter's park, a pitcher's park, or neutral. So H means hitter, N means neutral, and that plays into the game. If you're familiar with the third version rules, or the version 3 rules, it includes the ballpark coming into play. After that, we've got our manager ratings here. Those are also new for the third version of the game. So as you can see, for the manager here for Boston, stolen base is a C, sacrifice bunt is a B, intentional walk is a D, and relief calling to the bullpen relief pitcher is a C. If you need information on how that works or how those ratings play into the game, read the directions that go with version 3 and you can get an idea of what these ratings mean. But it's kind of a condensed chart here. You'll notice that some of the rows account for multiple die rolls. This little arrow up and arrow down means anything below 4 in this case, or anything above 9 in this case. So this allows us to save a little bit of space. Down here we've got our normal strategy chart, just like you would see on the chart that go with the original game, but we just decided to put them on the team chart or the team card so that everything was kind of in one place, and each manager, as they're managing, kind of like this, can have their own strategy chart to look at. All right, so let's take a look at some of the player cards. So first we start off with, we've got starting pitchers here, and you'll notice that very much like Craig's cards, everybody's ratings and results are on their card. So the cool thing about this is that we designed these player cards to make it so you don't need any charts at all. No charts. You don't need to have the charts in front of you. All you need is a scorecard, and you don't need to write down the player ratings on the scorecard. You just need the player's name and maybe their position, because all of the information is on the cards. And I've also color-coded each one of these to go with the die rolls. So when you roll these dice, you're looking at red, yellow, and blue dice. And dice are a little different than the ones that come with the game. They're kind of translucent. So anyway, if you're curious about that. So let's take a look at Billy's card. Name, team, starting pitcher, left-handed. You can see here his fatigue is a 6, and his pitcher hitting card is number 2. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So in order to make this work so that we can fit all the charts on the cards, we have to do some alterations when a player's rating changes. So let me get this nice and close for you. So as you can see, when Billy switches, when he starts off as a C pitcher, but when he drops a rating to a D pitcher, we're going to add 1 to the die roll. You can see +1 there. I don't know if it gets in focus enough, but you should be able to see a +1 D. That means when you roll the die for the pitcher, so let's just go ahead and roll all 3 die. And let's pretend that Bill Lee has dropped from a C to a D. So I roll all 3, and I roll a 7 on the red die. So if this were like the beginning of the game, I would just go to a 7 on the pitcher. chart. But if it's later in the game and he's dropped a rating down to a D, I would add 1 and do 8 instead. So that's kind of how we save space on charts, is by doing adding and subtracting. You'll see the same thing on control. When you drop a control rating, you add 2. And if we look at Dom Golett's card, you can see that he starts as an A, and then every time he goes down a rating, he adds 1 to the die roll. So if he were to be at a D and we rolled a 7, we would add 3 to it, 8, 9, 10, and we would do a 10 result instead. Same thing for control. Defense rating doesn't change, and then position, this is just here. This used to be on the pitcher chart. We just had to find somewhere to put it, so it's on there as well. You'll also notice on the player cards that we do put their stats down at the bottom, so that's their season stats down there. Just for your general information about how that player played in that year. Okay, so those are the pitcher cards. Let's go ahead and look at some batter cards. Batter cards are a little bit different because they don't have pitcher ratings on them. They have player ratings, so our batter ratings. So you can see the normal bat, power, speed, defense. And again, we've got some alterations underneath to when ratings might change. Well, I guess in this case, ratings don't change for batters, but in different scenarios, you might have different ratings. So, for example, if you land on left-right on the pitcher card, and the pitcher is a lefty, the batter does -1, so you subtract 1 from this chart. Just like in the original game, if the left-right split goes towards the pitcher, the batter would move down 1 level, but here, instead of moving down 1 level, we just -1. So let's roll these dice again and just kind of see how this would work. So I rolled a 10, and let's just pretend that 10 was a left-right split on the pitcher's card. So and the pitcher was a lefty, let's say. So I would look at this here, and the yellow landed on 7. So that means I would do a 7, but if the pitcher was a lefty and it landed on left-right, I would go down to 6 and take the 6 result. Okay. On the power column, it says power A, but if the ballpark that they're playing in is a pitcher's ballpark P, the power is -1. If the park that they're playing is the hitter's park, it's +1. So that's how we add the ballpark effect that we saw on the team card. And then speed, if the runner, if this particular runner, Bernie Carbo, was on first base, he's got a speed rating of D. If he were to try to steal from first to second, trying to steal second base, you would just do it as is. If he's trying to steal third base, you would subtract 2 from the roll. So say I was trying to steal a base, and I rolled an 11. 11 would be safe if I was stealing second. If he was stealing third, we go down 2, which would be out B. And if he's trying to steal home, we'd go down 4, so an additional 2, and he would be out. So even on an 11 roll, for a D batter, stealing home is basically impossible. So pretty darn hard. And then defense is as normal. So those are batter cards. Here's Pete Rose's card as well. You can see he's got some slightly different ratings: batter A, power B, speed D, defense C. And you'll notice that under batter A, you don't see that left-right split, and that's because Pete Rose was a switch hitter. So the left-right result does not affect him. Okay, so I just made a lineup here, so let me get my lineup back in order. And we're going to look at the last type of card here, and that is the pitcher hitting card. The reason we decided to use pitcher hitting cards is because there's no room on the pitcher's card to fit both their pitching and batting stats. It would make things a little too crowded. So we decided to go the route that many other games do and go with the pitcher hitting cards. And just to keep things simple, we just have 2 pitcher hitting cards. Pitcher hitting card number 1 is probably your typical pitcher, with his batter rating being D, power being D, and speed being D. And then the pitcher's defense is going to be whatever's on his card. So we just need those 3. Yeah, that's going to be your typical pitcher, and that's kind of how we do it in the original game. If you don't know the pitcher's hitting ratings, it's all D. And then we have pitcher hitting card number 2, which the only difference is batter goes up to C and pitcher goes up, or power goes up to C. So that's what we would consider a good hitting pitcher. And the way that, at least for this kind of demo version of this game that I set up here, the way that I determined whether a pitcher was hitting card 1 or hitting card 2 was I looked at, I believe it was their OPS. If their OPS was over 500, I think, I gave them the pitcher hitting card 2, which is the better hitter. Otherwise, I gave them pitcher hitting card 1. I also gave all the American League, so in this case, all the Boston Red Sox pitchers, pitcher hitting card 1. So that's how these work, and I kind of forgot to mention this, but hopefully when I was explaining the team card, you kind of understood what the arrows pointing up and down meant. But the way that that would apply to, say, this card here with the arrows going up or down, because we're doing sort of a plus-minus situation here, you could end up with a number lower than 1 or higher than 12. So let's say, for example, let's use a batter's card rather than a pitcher's hitting card. Let's use Pete Rose here. So say Pete Rose landed on a power result. His power rating is B. So this is the B chart here. And say he landed on 1. We rolled a blue 1. And but we're in a pitcher's park. And with a pitcher's park, you're supposed to subtract 1. Well, we can't subtract 1 from 1. It would be 0. That's off the chart. And that's why these little arrows exist. So that would be a pop-up to the catcher. So any case where the number goes higher than 12 or lower than 1, that's what these arrows mean. They're just sort of like off the chart. And you'll notice some of them are grayed out because, like for example, speed is grayed out on anything higher than 12 because speed can only go down. It can't go up. You don't get more of a speed rating. Also, if the number goes beyond 0, say for example, like, I don't know why you would try to steal home with Pete Rose. I guess unless he was ready to take out a catcher in the All-Star game or something like that. But if you're going to steal home with Pete Rose and you rolled a 1, well, then you'd have to do like -4, and that would be -3. So basically, this arrow means anything lower than 1. It doesn't matter if it's 0. It doesn't matter if it's -1 or 2 or 3. It's just going to be out. So, so that's how those arrows work. Again, we did this to save space, to make this a little bit easier to play. So I'm going to go ahead and put these back in here. So let's make sure our pitchers are where they're supposed to be. I'm going to slide this up, slide these up. Okay, so our pitchers are, Billy is pitcher hitting card 2 because he was a pretty good hitter in his day. So we're going to put him at the bottom of the lineup. And then Don Gillett was pitcher hitting card 1. Okay, so yeah, that is the whole thing. And there's your team cards on top. Again, these are going to be available for free for everybody in our Facebook group to test out. And let us know what you think of these player cards. If you like them, we would be happy to make some printed versions. They do take a little while to create. I do have it somewhat automated, but there is still some manual entry that takes a little bit of time. So if there was enough interest in doing, say, an entire season of teams, all 30 teams, or depending on what year it is, could be less than 30. It could take a little while to make those cards, but like I said, if there's enough interest, we'll definitely do it. For now, enjoy these 2 teams for free, and please give us feedback on what you think. Pocket Pennant Run is such a community community is the lifeblood of what we do, and you've provided us with so much feedback on our game that help us improve, and we hope that you'll do the same with these player cards and give us some feedback, things you like, things you'd like to see improved, and we can continue to improve them and make them better. So we hope you enjoy.